is not responding to the court. Therefore, Specialist Christensen, you may step down.
Thank you. The state calls Detective Feyen. Thank you.
I need some power.
Detective, you can come up to the witness stand here, and when you get up here, please remain standing and raise your right hand to be sworn by our clerk.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. When you are ready to begin, start by stating your name, spelling your first and last for the record.
First name is David, D-A-V-I-D. Last name, Feyen, F-E-Y-E-N.
Sir, how are you employed?
I'm a detective with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you been so employed?
24 years.
Do you currently have a special assignment within the City of Waukesha Police Department?
Yes, I do.
And what is that assignment?
So I'm one of two members of our digital forensic unit, formerly known as computer forensics unit. We are responsible for anything evidentiary that comes into our department that has to do with digital evidence, i.e. cloud download, cell phone extractions, laptops, computers, thumb drives, memory cards, things of that nature.
A lot more variety than just computers nowadays, fair to say?
Fair to say.
Okay. Now, in order to have this special assignment in the forensic department, do you or did you obtain any kind of specialized training or certifications to be able to understand this data that you're extracting and also use the software tools that allow you to do that?
Yes, I have been doing this since approximately 2012. In that time, I've had continued education throughout my career as the DFU unit, and I probably have accumulated over 800 hours of formalized training. That does not include, speaking with other people and kind of doing informal training. I probably do about 200 exams per year of a device or a computer. I've gone through training with IASIS, the International Association of Computer Specialists, and they've received their certification. I've also received certifications from Celebrite, Magnet, several other companies in terms of using their software and their tools to do extractions both on cell phones and computers. Received training down through the Secret Service at NCFI in Alabama on a variety of computer and network examinations for forensics.
Your lab at your police department, do you also assist other agencies, other law enforcement agencies within Waukesha County if their departments don't have this kind of equipment but do need assistance with downloading or extracting data from devices?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, do you have, and you've talked about it a little bit, but do you have specific training as it relates to either Apple iPhones or Android phones, knowing that they're different operating systems?
Yes.
Okay. And can you still use the same software tools to perform an extraction on an Android versus an iPhone, or are there different tools you use?
No, we use a variety of tools, but all the ones we use can run both Android and Apple software phones.
Once you receive an item, can you explain for the jury the process of creating a forensic image of that device?
In terms of cell phones?
Yes, let's talk about cell phones, sorry.
Certainly. So the process is that I will obtain the physical device either directly from an investigator, police officer, detective, or it'll be in our evidence room. I'll check that device out, bring it up to our lab. And I also examined the search authority, making sure we have a valid search warrant or consent to search the device. Then I will make sure I can isolate it from networks. So that means putting the phone into airplane mode if I can. If I can't, I'll try to remove the SIM card. from the phone and to take that out to isolate it from cellular networks. Last resort was we have a specialized room within our department where you can walk into and it closes the doors and shuts out all radio frequencies. And this way I protect the phone from receiving or sending any messages out or getting wiped remotely. And then once I've secured the phone and isolated from networks, I'll then connect it to two of our primary devices, either a magnet gray key, magnet, M-A-G-N-E-T, gray key, G-R-A-Y-K-E-Y, or a Celebrite UFED, UFED device to help extract the data from the phone. Once I extract the data from the phone, I can use another software tool. In this case, we use Celebrite physical analyzer software to help decode and let me sort through and sift through and view all the pictures, text messages, call logs, all the information that's on the phone that you see as a user, as well as a lot of information you don't actually see as a user. It's hidden, such as log files and GPS locations.
You talked about making sure that you put the phone in airplane mode or otherwise prevent it from accessing the network. What concerns do you have about the data within the phone if it stays connected to the network as you're trying to make this forensic image?
Well, we want to keep the phone as, I guess, fresh as possible, as close to the event. So I don't want new data to come in the way of pop-up messages, Facebook messages, somebody calling the phone, because that can push out and delete old information that I may have needed. I also don't want, if the owner happens to be out of custody and they have access or they call a friend, I don't want them to send a remote wipe signal and have the phone sitting in my hands and all of a sudden it reboots and it says, welcome, please set up your new phone. I don't want that to happen because once that happens, I've lost all my data. So it's important to isolate it from cellular networks and Wi-Fi networks.
Okay. Now, when we talk about that process, you mentioned what I think are two different steps. The extraction itself, which in this case with the two phones you were given by investigating detectives, you use Cellbrite Premium to do the actual extraction. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when you have that extraction, is that sometimes referred to as the raw data from the phone?
Yes, we call it a full file system, but yeah, it's the data that the phone is pull out. The phone gives to the software tool that includes all the messages and pictures and things that we want to look at.
Then you take that extraction or the full file system, if that's what you were able to obtain, and then you put that into the Cellbrite Physical Analyzer, and that's the software that kind of decodes everything in that full file system you obtained. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are there times where when you are extracting a phone or creating that forensic image that you do not get a full file system extraction?
Yes, it does happen. It depends on the software version of the phone. Sometimes it depends on the phone brand itself. Sometimes we're limited. The full file system is what we really want to get. That gets as much data as possible. Sometimes there's something we call a logical or advanced logical, which is a lot less data, but it's typically the information that would be on the phone that you would see if you were to hand scroll. So all your pictures that are on there, your call logs, your text messages, that sort of thing. That will come in advanced logical, along with some other information, but the full file system is what we really go after each time because it has the most data we can possibly pull off the phone.
Does it also matter if you have the passcode to get into the phone in terms of how much data you can retrieve from the phone or whether it's that partial or full file system?
Yes, having passcode certainly helps. We have ways to get around some passcodes, not all of them. But yes, if I'm able to go around the passcode, sometimes I get slightly less data. But again, it's a wide range of information we can get depending on the phone, the operating system, the updates from Cellbrite or Gray Key in terms of how much data we can get from it. There's a lot of variables that are involved.
Why do you engage in this process where you are using software tools to create this forensic image of the phone versus just manually scrolling through it?
Use the analogy of an iceberg. If you imagine the iceberg has a large chunk below the water surface, then what you see above it is just a portion of it. If you manually scroll a phone, you're seeing just the top. There's a lot of information that lies below. And if you're just going to manually scroll and take pictures of the phone, if that's the only option we have because of software updates, that's what we take. But I want the full file system to get as much data as possible and get all that ice that's below the water.
If you were to manually scroll through a phone versus using one of these tools, do you run the risk of potentially changing timestamps or making changes to any of that underlying data that you talked about?
Absolutely. So if I start looking at pictures, I'm going to start changing timestamps on pictures. If I start reading text messages, I may change a message that was unread to read, and that's going to show up in any forensic download I would do later on. In the background, the phone is always creating logs. So if I start holding the phone and turning it, like my iPhones will register your orientation. So I'm creating new data on the phone that I really shouldn't. So doing the file system extraction with a forensically sound tool is the best way to get as much data without adding or modifying or creating any additional information on the phone by my own actions.
Now, once you are ready to start creating a forensic image of a phone, do you first obtain that phone from property, or is it given directly to you by the investigating detective, or something else?
It can be either way. Sometimes I collect it myself if I'm at the crime scene. Sometimes it's handed to me. Sometimes I check it out of evidence. It really depends on the case.
And going back to October and November of 2024, were you approached by Detective Stern to assist with the forensic examination of 4 digital devices?
I believe it was 5 altogether.
5 altogether. Okay, thank you for correcting me. In focusing on a cell phone that belonged to Carlos Maldonado, a phone belonging to Kevin Lychwick, and 2 SD cards. Were those 4 of the 5 devices you were provided by Detective Stern or requested to extract by him?
Yes.
Okay. Starting with the phone then that was belonging to Carlos Maldonado, was that a Samsung phone?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, did you follow that same 2-step process that we talked about earlier to create a forensic image of Mr. Maldonado's phone?
Yes.
And were you able to obtain a full file system extraction for his phone?
Yes.
Okay. When you are performing this extraction, once you have completed that 2-step process, do you review the forensic image yourself, or do you give it back to the detectives to review, or a mixture of both, or something else?
I'd say it's a mixture of both, again, case dependent. Sometimes I will turn over the Cellbrite report that's created after I generate it and give it to the investigator and say, you know the case better than I do, you look through it. In this case, I looked at it first, found some artifacts of interest, and then turned it over to Detective Stern to actually have him look at it because he had a bigger view of what was going on, and then he was able to find artifacts that were relevant for this case. So it's kind of a mixture of both.
Okay. Now, once during that second step, you input that full file system extraction into the Cellbrite physical analyzer, are either you or the detectives reviewing it able to create a bookmark report that is generated through Cellbrite?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what is that part of what you're talking about with sometimes you review it and flag artifacts that might be of interest, or the detectives can do that when they're reviewing it on their own? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you reviewed the extraction from Mr. Maldonado's phone, or when you reviewed the extraction from Mr. Maldonado's phone, did you find any artifacts that told you that the user of this phone was Mr. Maldonado.
Yes.
Can you give a couple examples of what you found to show that, yes, this was Mr. Maldonado's phone?
The name of the phone, which is something that you can create, I think it was Carlos's, and it had the model number after it. It was Carlos's, and then the model number of the phone after it. There was a Facebook account associated with him. His name appeared several times in the phone itself. There was a lot of selfie pictures taken with the phone in a selfie format of him, clear. So those, a lot of user artifacts which led back to Mr. Maldonado.
Were you able to view Mr. Maldonado's browser history, specifically at 7:38 p.m. on April 13th of 2024?
Yes.
And why did you review that particular search or that part of the web history?
I was trying to establish a timeline of when the phone was last used. And sometimes people aren't always calling or texting, sometimes they're web surfing instead of that. So I'm looking to find out when is the last time that phone is being used.
Do you remember what that browser history search was?
I don't.
Okay, that's okay. Now, did you also look at what, as you're going through the phone to assess a timeline, did you note any outgoing activity on April 14th, 2024 at 9:20 and 31 seconds in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And do you know did you see the phone number that was called?
I did.
And did you run that phone number to see who or what kind of business that phone number belonged to?
Yeah, it was the Home Depot in Delafield, Wisconsin.
Okay. Now, once you see that outgoing call and you look for the rest of the day on April 14th of 2024, and maybe even in the days following, did the phone receive text messages?
Yes.
Did the phone receive incoming calls?
Yes.
Are you able to tell if any of those text messages or phone calls were answered or if they were missed?
I could see that they were all missed.
So after that outgoing call at 9:20 and 31 seconds in the morning, nothing else gets returned in terms of text or calls.
Correct.
Now moving on to the 2 SD cards that you were provided by Detective Stern. Is there a different kind of imaging process as it relates to SD cards versus cell phones?
Yes, there is.
What is that imaging process?
The imaging process takes the physical card. In this case, it was a micro SD card, a 32 gigabyte Waze brand, W-Y-Z-E, branded memory card. And I place it into what's called a write blocker. And a write blocker is a piece of physical hardware attached to my computer. And what it does, when it's turned on, it prevents any computer from writing, modifying, deleting any data that's on that evidentiary, in this case, memory card. So if I were just to try to open the memory card, I can view everything that's on it. I can make a copy of it, but I cannot tamper or change anything on the actual card itself. So the process is, once I insert the card into this write blocker, I use a tool called FTK Imager. And then I create a bit-for-bit copy of everything that's on that card. And once I have that, the image of the card, I then can point my forensic tools at the image, and then the card itself goes back into evidence.
In this case, with the 2 SD cards, once you have that copy, or the image copy, do you then run those image copies through Axiom?
Yes, I use Magnet Axiom as the tool to look at that image.
Okay. Did you review every single item that, or I guess video or image that was on that copy?
No, I took a really brief glance at what it was, but I did not go every single video clip.
And were you able, so they were all video clips on this image copy?
They were all video clips.
Okay, and that would have been then provided to the investigating detectives for them to review it and see if there's anything of evidentiary value on there.
That's correct.
Okay. Lastly then, were you provided a Samsung phone belonging to an individual by the name of Kevin Lychwick?
I was.
And to your knowledge, was that recovered during a search warrant at his apartment and the phone was recovered from his bedroom?
Yes, it was.
Were you able to see, once you placed the phone on airplane mode, did the phone have a passcode?
This phone did not have a passcode.
Okay. Now, did you perform that same two-step process that we talked about you performing on Mr. Maldonado's phone?
Yes.
And from Mr. Lychwick's phone, were you able to obtain a full file system extraction?
Yes.
Did you end up reviewing the extraction from Mr. Lychwick's phone, or would that have been provided to Detective Stern for additional analysis?
Again, just like the first phone, I did a preliminary review of the phone results. I bookmarked several items, but then I turned everything over to Detective Stern, again, who had a better view of the whole case in chief to review and find the evidence that was really important.
I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Mr. Lychwick, do you have cross-examination questions for this witness? Mr. Lychwick is not responding to the court. Therefore, Detective, you may step down. Attorney Thompson, why don't we take a short break?
I think that's perfect.
So I'm going to excuse the jury for about 5-10 minutes, and we will resume testimony after that. Thank you. You may be seated. We are outside the presence of the jury. I'll just make a record of my observations of the defendant during that period of testimony. The defendant continued to remain seated in his wheelchair with his arms crossed. His eyes were closed for most of the testimony. When Detective Feyen started testifying, he appeared to be looking at Detective Feyen through heavily squinted eyes, as though he were keeping them mostly closed, but still taking peeks at the detective when he testified. Otherwise, the defendant was similarly non-responsive as he has been so far for most of today. Anything the state wants to place on the record before we break?
No, thank you.
Mr. Lychwick, anything else from you? All right, we will break for 10 minutes.